There we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the city's storm emergency planning meeting. Welcome to everybody that's here and the people that are at home that are taking the time to watch. I want to start out with introducing the mayor, who has called for this meeting to make you, the public, and some of our city officials that are here so more aware of what's going on, what we are planning, what we've already done, what we are planning, and we hope to accomplish in the next couple of days. Mayor Dan Rizzo.
Chief, thank you very much, and thank all of you for being here today. Obviously, we're having this meeting to keep everybody updated on what's happening, what our plans are, and what people should be doing and thinking about as we prepare for Hurricane Sandy to hit our area. Before I just say a few very brief words and turn it back over to Chief Doherty, I wanted to introduce some of our local officials that are here taking time out to obviously representing their areas and hoping to help in any way they can. I'll start with City Council Ira Novoselsky, City Councilor Arthur Guanasso, City Councilor Charlie Patch, City Councilor Anthony Zambuto, City Councilor Brian Arrigo, City Councilor Jessica Giannino, City Council President Richard Penta, City Councilor John Powers. Thank you very much for being here. I also want to, City Councilor Steve Reardon. My apologies. Geez, Stephen, I'm sorry. You're right in front of me. Dr. Paul Dakin is here, Superintendent of Schools. Paul, thank you. And Chief Caffarelli and Deputy Chief Ruggiero, thank you very much for being here also. Also with us is from our Department of Public Works, Superintendent Donald Goodwin, and General Foreman Paul Argenzio. Thank you for being here. Just a few brief updates on the storm. From what I understand, the worst of it is supposed to hit between noontime tomorrow and I guess early a.m. of the following day. Those are the areas that we're particularly focusing on right now. I did receive a phone call just a few minutes ago from Speaker Bob DeLeo, who received a phone call from the governor offering any of their resources on a state level that we may need. We know that we have the support of our state government as well, should the need arise. We are looking possibly, depending upon, we're taking it kind of hour by hour, but there is a possibility of closing City Hall early tomorrow, depending upon the weather. I know Superintendent Dakin has already announced that school will be closed tomorrow. That's all public schools in the city of Revere will be closed tomorrow. So we're trying to take all the precautions that we possibly can to make sure that people are protected and safe tomorrow. Superintendent Goodwin and General Foreman Argenzio have assured me that they're going to be out and about tomorrow looking for downed tree limbs and downed wires. The chief will elaborate a little bit further on what they're going to be doing in their efforts to make sure that those areas are going to be addressed. But in the meantime, I know that they're actively paying attention to any tree limbs that may come down, making sure that pump stations are up and running, making sure that the tide gates are operational, and that the trash gates are hopefully cleaned in the areas where they need to be. So with that, I want to turn this back over to Chief Doherty, who has a few more introductions, and then we'll go into the remainder of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With us today as well are other city officials that are part of our emergency team. Captain Guido is a Deputy Emergency Management Director and represents the police, is here. We have Deputy Chief Glenn Rich, who's the shift commander now for the fire department. Captain Tom Tedesco, who is our emergency planner for the City of Revere Fire Department. Kyle Svensson, who is the plant superintendent of operations for the school department. Did I make that title a little longer, Kyle? No. And we have two new deputy directors of emergency management, Paul Boudreau and Paul Simonini. And Lieutenant Graff just come in. Lieutenant, you're working tonight? There's a shift man. Good man. What we're going to repeat to now is a number of things that the public has already heard. Obviously, the people that are here in attendance, we've been going back with emails over the last few days, the notifications that we get from MEMA and the National Weather Service, and all our public officials are kept up to date on what they call the situational reports from the state that give the breakdown of the trajectory of the storm, what the expectations are, and things such as that. And this, we're having this meeting tonight under with Mayor Rizzo wanted to let the public know, to make you more aware of what is going on and how significant this storm will be, and what they're calling a significant wind event. If nothing else, we're fortunate that the storm is hitting so much further south than us, and a greater impact as far as Massachusetts will obviously be the south-facing beaches, such as down the islands and Cape Cod. Tomorrow evening, though, Revere, or the east-facing beaches, will be impacted by the storm as the wind changes directions from the northeast to the east. And at that time, beaches directly along Beachmont and Revere Beach and the Pines will be greatly impacted. Tomorrow afternoon, though, that high tide that's coming in at noontime will be the worst case of all the three tides that we're going to have during the course of this storm. Superintendent Goodwin has scheduled the tidal gate on the Parkway to be closed at 7 a.m. We've notified the town of Winthrop of that. We've sent out a code red, or the reverse 911, to let people know the updates as far as even this meeting and things that we are doing. The impact of that tide, with the ways the winds are going, will impact the riverside. There will be a surge tide at the riverside. The tides are going to be 3 to 4 feet, what they call a 3 to 4 feet surge over and above the normal tide. So that water at the riverside will inundate Mills Ave, particularly down by the river, and Thayer Ave and John Ave areas, as well as by the traffic signals further up at North Shore Road quite a bit. The Point of Pines in particular, if there is any inundation from water, it'll be near the Point of Pines Yacht Club, if it does get over that dune that's there for the most part, and possibly down by Harrington Ave. Beachmont, obviously, the tidal gate will be is a great asset for the city, so we'll stop quite a bit of the water that normally would flow down into the low-lying areas. We would hope the public stays well in tune with the local media and the news channels for any additional advisories. We will send out any things that we think are very important to our citizens of Revere through the Code Red or the reverse 911 system. If we get to a point where the weather has changed, the trajectory of the storm has changed, or maybe it's bogged down, or that we have to maybe evacuate people. For the most part, we're very fortunate. The weather is going to be very mild, so if we do lose power, the heat, the coldness will not be a great factor. The Red Cross, American Red Cross, has set up regional shelters, but there is nothing nearby to us right now because of the lower impact to this area. The regional shelters are in Weymouth, Newbury, and Fall River. We in the city of Revere have the capability of setting up our own shelter if need be. We have the capability of setting up a shelter for 150 people. We have 3 of our schools that have been accredited through the Red Cross of being shelter worthy, and the high school, the Whalen, and I believe Rumney Marsh, at least those 3, and the Beachmont as well. So we're very fortunate in that, but those are situations that will be dictated as the storm, if the storm progresses into a much more difficult process. As I think I stated earlier, the rainfall is expected over the 10 to 12 hour period to be between 1 to 3 inches, 2 to 4 inches, which is very good for us over that long period of time. There may be possibilities of bands of rain where we get dumped on, but for the most part, if it's stretched out that long with that amount, our system should be able to handle it. What we do need the public to do, and to help us, is to make sure that leaves and any debris is cleaned out from the storm drains near your homes. That will help you in your home because the street doesn't get flooded, but it will help the DPW because they're going to be having a great deal of work, probably with a number of tree limbs and trees that may go down. We have a contractor in the city already that's going to be on standby to help with us. National Grid has assigned a representative directly for the city to coordinate any down wires that we have. We will have firefighters on duty that will be specifically assigned to stand by at downed wires. We want to stress to the public that any down wire, you have to treat it as dangerous or live electric, no matter what you may think, and call 911, and we will send somebody out to check it. You should know if we do come out and check a wire and the firefighters determine that it's a Comcast wire or a Verizon wire, something to that effect that they can easily handle, we put a piece of yellow caution tape around it so that we don't get second and third calls. And lots of times during the storm, we get repeat calls on a regular basis about a wire being down. So the firefighters are charged with rolling up the wires best they can, tying off a piece of yellow tape, and when the person calls reporting a wire, we can say, do you see any yellow tape? If they say yes, then they know we've already been there. So the public, we would ask your help in something such as that. Don't hesitate to call by all means. A couple of other things that we hope by now, the last few days that the media has inundated us with this storm and ramped everybody up, that you at home are well stocked with your family disaster kit, that if you do lose power or you're isolated for a period of time, that you have enough provisions that'll help you. We stress very strongly that you have any neighbors, that if you do lose power and your neighbors are elderly or may be disabled, that please check on them to make sure they're okay. If you don't, if there is no response, make sure you notify 911. We'll send somebody down to access the house if we have to. As I said, you should have already cleaned your rain gutters, things such as that normally will have some damage to your own home. You want to make sure you're securing your outside items, as lawn furniture, trash barrel. Things are going to take off. The winds for this storm, at a minimum, they're saying anywhere from 30 to 50 miles per hour. And that's sustained. That means all day. They're expecting those winds to go on. And that's going to create quite a bit of havoc, specifically with trees and limbs and flying objects such as furniture or aluminum signs, things that might get loose over a period of time with that constant barrage of wind. That's going to happen. And then we're going to get gusts at times from 60 to 80 miles an hour. That's a ton of wind, and that is, 80 miles an hour is the hurricane force. And it's because of this convergence of the two storms. They're calling it a hybrid storm, where a tropical storm, hurricane, it's going less than a hurricane down to a tropical, and it's meeting this cold front or whatever it is, and all those H's and lows and highs, But I digress. So you must, if you're in your own home, elevate articles in your cellar. If you do get water, do not go down your cellar. If you feel that your electric is being imminently threatened with water, call the fire department, call 911, we'll send somebody down. Know that we will shut off your power, and that is the safest thing to do, is to shut off the power entirely so that you don't create a problem, a hazard for your family members, and you don't later on start a fire in your own home by trying to think that the wires are going to just dry out simply, and that doesn't happen. And we've had enough storms in this city to have firsthand experience with somebody that may have turned their power on or not shut it off, and we've had house fires. Plan to stay indoors. We don't need everybody running down the beach to see the big waves. I know it's exciting, but a lot of people can get hurt, or you're going to get to a position where maybe you're not going to be able to get back home. Traffic, roads could be flooded, things such as that. Watch it on TV. The media is going to be all over this. If you use a generator, you have a generator, be sure, absolutely sure that you operate it outdoors. It is amazing that people think that they can open a door, a window, or a bulkhead and put a generator in their cellar. You can't. That carbon monoxide will fill your house in very short order. You won't realize over a period of time you'll become sick. You'll pass out. Your family members will pass out. You'll think you're just sleeping, and you'll put yourselves in a dire stress. Please keep your generators outside, in a well-ventilated area. Above all, don't use gas stoves or candles as heat or light sources, and in particular, candles. Candles are extremely dangerous. You should have a light with batteries in it. But anybody that's going to try to maintain their house with candles and using that as light, you're playing literally with fire. And if somebody's not right there in that room all the time with a candle, you could have a house fire. Some of these candles you buy in stores just are not the type that can sustain a long burn and they collapse, the glass breaks, the wax flows, catches a combustible, you have a house fire. I'm telling you, this happens all the time. Candles are a great source of fire that we have. And also make sure that your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide detectors are operable in your house. With that, I've spoken a lot. Does anybody have any other suggestions from the councilors or officials? Anyone? Anyone? Yes. Councilor Reardon. Yes, what I've talked to Bob Dunbar from Revere TV, he's already going to put on that last situational report that you got, he's going to put all the links on there, and the phone numbers we'll put on cable TV. I can give out a few now. Obviously, 911 for any wires down or emergencies such as that. But for the DPW for tree limbs down will be 781-286-8149. That will be the main number you call for tree limbs. In 911, we will keep track of wires down, be it National Grid, Comcast, and cable. And then as we get a bunch, we notify, obviously we notify National Grid right away as we get them, and we dispatch fire apparatus or a car with a firefighter in it to check out the wire. If it's phone or cable, we keep a list and we forward them those lists as they go. Obviously, phone and cable, if you lose it in the storm, they're not going to be fixed for a couple of days. One, they're not going to put their personnel out during the height of the storm with these winds that we're getting. Same thing with some of the tree problems we may have. They're might not be able to get up in a tree to cut it down safely in a bucket truck if the winds are too high. We'll clear debris and trees from the roadway to make it suitable for passage for emergency apparatus and things such as that. But expect for the duration of the storm through Monday night into early Tuesday a.m., a lot of things may not get done. Come Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully they'll be rectified and a lot of things will be fixed up after that. Councilor Powers.
Chief, where is Riverside and the Rice Avenue section are probably two of the most vulnerable areas to stormwater. Will we be able, if necessary, to utilize the fire station down there as an emergency basis to get people in there?
Question from Councilor Powers is for the Riverside and the Pines area, is if the area is inundated, will we be able to use the Point of Pines fire station? Yes. We would set that up. Again, it's a case-by-case scenario. It depends on so many factors. There's nothing we can nail down precisely. But it'll depend on the wind direction, the duration of the wind, and how things go, and whether one area, obviously, Beachmont gets hit on a regular basis. The Pines, it's every other storm or something like that. But we'll adapt to whichever area it is. If it needs be, we have to open up a local shelter or just a warming area. The people did, you lose your power or something like that, and they just need some place to go, maybe get a bite to eat or something like that, then we would set up the Pines Fire Station, grab the Beachmont School or the VFW and Beachmont, something like that. But we can make ready arrangements right away, and we'll adapt accordingly to where it's needed. Councilor Novoselsky.
Chief, should people put out their trash to pick up?
Oh, good. I already got that one. Councilor Novoselsky's question about the trash, I will give Councilor Penta, he asked already, relative to Beachmont there tomorrow. I believe they're going out pretty much so in the morning with the idea they're collecting trash for Monday for sure. Tuesday, I'm not, if it really backs up. That is something we'll put on the roll at on cable TV, but I'm sure that if they don't get to you Monday, it's because of the storm, we'll talk to Capital Waste and make sure they get there Tuesday. But that will be a factor, and things are going to go flying tomorrow if they don't get them right away. So it could be a mess. Councilor Penta, when is the wind the worst as of tomorrow? The winds are supposed to start on the south beaches of down the Cape around 6 a.m. or so. They said by the time it gets up into the Boston area, it'll be like 8 or 9 o'clock, and they'll be start at that 30 to 40 mile an hour range. Gusts will start a little later, but the height of the storm, or the worst part of the storm, is supposed to be in the evening. And that's where they expect the most damage is relative to tree limbs and things such as that. Councilor Guanasso.
Has the elderly complex been notified of what type of assistance
Well, I have sent emails to Linda Shaw. We will be down there in the morning. There's no one to really deal with right now relative to that.
In terms of like the friendly gardens, places like Satter House?
No, with their management, they're generally a little more on top of it. They have the personnel to do it. Our biggest concern right now, as far as the elderly, it would be obviously 45 Dolphin Ave. That's one of the first things. If tomorrow afternoon's tide is such that, we'll empty that building and just bring them to evacuation right away, evacuation center.
Second question I have is, school's been canceled for tomorrow. What about Tuesday in the event that we have that many limbs down, impassable and dangerous for children to go to school? When will the parents be notified if in fact Tuesday will be canceled?
Okay, the question or the concern is for Tuesday, if the storm has gone on and there are tree limbs and things such as that, when will the notification be made that maybe there would not be school sessions? That will be up to Dr. Dakin and the members, his staff for the district. I would venture to say, in consultation with us and his other superintendents that they deal with on a regular basis, they'd make that decision pretty much if we are inundated with tree limbs and things like that, and the weather forecast is such that it's going to go longer instead of the middle of the night Tuesday into early Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, then Dr. Dakin would probably call that tomorrow evening sometime.
What media vehicle will be used in case power lines are down and cable TV is out? How will parents be notified as to?
I believe he has, do you have a Twitter? Yeah, huh? He has a Twitter account. A lot of people get it on their cell phones. If we lose cell phones, that's a possibility. I can't say, I think if people lose power, and this is just conjecture and prior experience, they're not sending their kids to school anyways, generally. But if we lose wholesale sections of the city, we will have to adapt and either police and fire apparatus, we have the capability of going along with our PA systems, and we would announce it at some point. We won't get to everybody, obviously, but we would, like any other type of situation, when we lose the normal communications and media, we would adapt to that. I hope. Thank you. Captain Tedesco.
I know there were some calls from the fire alarm today regarding vehicles in Riverside. People wanted to move their vehicles ahead of time when they
I won't give up. There's really the schools. That's quite a distance, and I'd be, yeah. The Pines. I'd have to think where we could if that many cars. Huh? I mean, we could always use Wonderland Dog Track. We could just take that by eminent domain parking, I imagine. I'm not going to complain. But I would say Wonderland Dog Track parking, I could, in an emergency, we could just say we need that. But if anybody does, it would be the old lot that they don't utilize anymore now if they get in. If we get to that point for that, that would be the second tide. Yeah, but we could open it. We have those big cutters, yeah. Yeah, and Captain Guido, the police have access to it. So yes, if people are afraid, they can park. Right now, we can take a dozen or so cars at the Point of Pines Fire Station. That's kind of a high ground there, and if people are really concerned, as long as they don't block the doors, because if we have to utilize the building. Okay. No, I think the mayor introduced him. Yes, yes. We're not forgetting him. No, no. And I think Councilor Zambuto brought up, while the mayor was talking, that state buildings are closed tomorrow.
No state workers except for emergency workers.
Essential people. Yeah. State is closed. The governor had a press conference at 4:30, and he announced that. Relative to City Hall, as the mayor stated, City Hall workers, and other city employees other than the school department, we are saying to come in tomorrow morning. And yes, yeah. Okay. Okay, and so the City Hall workers will be at least till noon. if we think the storm is going to be of any consequence, the mayor will make that decision and maybe get them out earlier. But we do need those employees in City Hall early in the morning to help facilitate a lot of concerns the citizens may have. So we're going to try to make sure that we have people in here to do that. Superintendent Goodwin also wanted me to mention the low end of Pearl Ave, which is obviously a place that gets hit with the tide. The thing is, with the noontide, even as high as it may be, it's an astronomical tide, but not a real astronomical tide, but it's a surge tide. And the problem with that tide, when it tries to go out with the sustained winds, it doesn't get out. So when the midnight tide comes in, it'll be a little more. But the height of the storm, they said, is during that the lull tide or the part of the low tide that at like 6 or 8 o'clock at night. So when the highest winds are here, and the worst part of the storm for us will be at low tide. So that will assist us in relative to the moderate flooding they were predicting. Yes, Council Reardon.
Just one more thing on the telephones. Does National Grid have a separate emergency telephone line?
Yes, the police and fire department have access to those lines. We don't give those out to the public. Correct. If you have a wire down, you want to dial, Councilor Reardon asked if relative to emergency phone numbers for National Grid. If there is a wire down, please call 911. We will check it out. We have direct access to National Grid, and we will report that wire. Doesn't mean it's going to get repaired, but we'll report that wire. Obviously, we're going to need response to critical infrastructure or buildings in the city, the nursing homes, the city buildings, things such as that. We may have to push so that we can keep the communications and things going like that. This police stations and the fire stations all have emergency backup power, as the City Hall and the schools, but we still want to make sure that those systems are more viable so we can continue our operations.
You might want to recommend people with cell phones and other electronic gadgets fully charged.
Yes, correct. Councilor Reardon wants to ensure that everybody remembers that they should be charging everything up right now. Your cell phones, batteries, things such as that. Obviously, if you have a charger in your car, you can do your cell phone again tomorrow if you do lose power. We'll have pockets of power we lose, particularly where trees may come down, but it's not like a nor'easter storm where ice inundates the lines and coats them, and then they actually break from, we lose power such as that. This is kind of a wind, it is a wind storm, so it's a little different that I don't see us in this locale losing as much power as we may in a northeast storm. Mr. Mayor?
And the governor has asked everybody to really only be out on the roads if they absolutely have to. So unless they absolutely have to be on the roads, it's best to keep the cars off the roads for emergency vehicles.
Okay. The mayor is repeating what the governor had said earlier, that you should only be out for essential business and not just riding around. We want to keep the roads free and clear for emergency equipment, National Grid, things such as that, and the danger of a number of trees coming down, and you're putting yourself in peril by being out during this storm. Again, there are going to be a lot of flying objects, things such as that. And what you think is exciting could be very dangerous to you or members of your family. So it's not like, because tomorrow's a day off for the kids to school, they're going to go out and play. You really should adapt to stay inside during the height of this storm, which is going to last all day long. You really must take care and use the necessary precautions and common sense if you can. Yes, Paul. Okay, we've gotten a direct call. Deputy Director Paul Simonini has called Capital Waste, and they say they are starting at 5:30 on a normal basis. So they'll be fighting the barrels, and a lot of them will go south, but they are going to be on, so we'll get that. Okay. I think that's all I have. The things that, just to repeat what the National Weather Service said earlier on a conference call, we're on another one at 6:30, where they're going to give another update, but they had three things that obviously, number one was the widespread power outage from falling tree limbs. That's the biggest concern. Number two was the sustained winds and the gusts, sustained winds 30 to 50 miles an hour gusts up to 60 to 80 miles an hour, more in the evening, and the coastal flooding along the east coast. And they're saying from minor to moderate flooding. In my opinion, they generally shoot a little higher to make sure everybody's more aware of it. But we will get a lot of splash over in Beachmont. There was splash over today on Winthrop Parkway at the tide at 11 o'clock today. So we will definitely see it tomorrow at 11:30. Okay. Anything else? Well, again, to the public, the phone numbers, call 911, any down wires or any emergency. Police and fire will respond. We'll have extra personnel on, and for particular needs such as electrical wires, for tree limbs and that you just observe in the road or things such as that, to call the DPW at 781-286-8149. We will keep a list in the fire alarm as well for things such as that. If you have the need for additional services, call the main fire department number at 781-284-0014, and we'll hopefully direct your call to somebody that can help you, particularly people that might be disabled, and if they do lose their power and there are different needs that you have, whether it's your portable oxygen or things like that, we will be there to assist you in any way we can. And with that, I'll close the meeting. I want to thank everybody again, and to the public, please use common sense the next couple of days, because sometimes you don't realize the jackpot you can get yourself in. Please. Thank you.